Midweek, Adam, and the Buffs are heading to Arizona later on this week. But we had our last day of media availability for the week, and some fresh interviews. And we'll get to that in a second. But first off, happy birthday to you.
Oh, thank you.
You got first question every time today because it's your birthday. So I don't need to get you anything because that's your present.
I think the Colorado Buffaloes could give me a victory on Saturday evening as well if they want to go ahead and do that. But no, Curtis Snyder looked out for me today, and like you said, it was our first chance to talk to Colton Hood, our first chance to talk to Coach Phillips in quite a while, and he said he had never had 4 receivers go down, which was the question I asked. But you throw Will Shepard in there, I guess you got to say it was really 5 receivers, that went down in that game. And then Draylen Miller does not look like a true freshman, and has a bright future here.
Also has a bright smile.
He does.
He's got a really fun smile. Good kid, good personality. But they were fun interviews today. And Colton Hood is one that I actually did a Zoom with him right after he committed. And I got to meet him a little bit over that, and really liked him. A super nice kid, and it's great to see him balling out. I mean, he's doing a really good job. Obviously, the interception the other night, but he's playing really good football even besides that.
Yeah, no, I think that he's shown enough to think that he's going to be a future star at cornerback here. Only a second-year college player coming in from Auburn. And we mentioned this after the game on Saturday. It's just like since he got on campus, there's been a buzz about that young man. Yeah. And so it helps you when you're able to be in the situation they were before Travis Hunter got hurt, because Colton Hood was coming in on some of those obvious passing yard situations, particularly on third down. And when you have Colton Hood, Preston Hodge, DJ McKinney, and Travis Hunter all out there together on a passing situation, that's a lot of coverage talent that's out there on the field. So I think that's a great way for him to cut his teeth. And then when he was given the expanded role, obviously had the interception and was a few inches away from being able to score a touchdown there.
Yeah. I was thinking about this, that there's a lot of CU teams you and I have covered that Colton Hood would be a starting corner.
Oh, yeah. Most of them.
Most of them. And so the fact that he's not starting tells you about the depth of the corner. And we've talked about it so much that last year they struggled to find that number 2. Well, they've got 4, that you feel pretty confident with. And you're right, he was close. He said he just hit Preston Hodges' leg or something like that and tripped up. And
his foot,
barely, just barely. And you could. Real time, you could hardly tell that he hit him at all. I just thought he tripped up, but that was unfortunate because he was going in for 6.
Yeah, but it didn't matter, right? Because I think the concern and the reason people were upset when that happened was, Kansas State's defense played pretty solid football on Saturday, and so there was a concern that you're not going to get that touchdown to go up by 4, but then, Shedeur and LeJontay Wester got it done, so it didn't end up being a big deal.
Yeah, it almost might have been better had he been tackled several yards back where they take more time off the clock, but hindsight, whatever. But Colton Hood made a great play. Moving on to receivers, we've talked about that. That's sort of the theme this week is receivers, because we saw all those guys go down this last week, and it does sound like what Coach Prime told us on Tuesday, that Travis and Jimmy should be back. Coach Phillips told us that Jimmy practiced today, and that's good. And so they should be, I don't know about full strength. They won't be full strength because Omari Miller, it sounds like Terrell Timmons won't play this week. But they're at least better strength than we maybe thought coming out of Saturday.
Yeah, and that was a position where you're just not – no matter how much you practice, it's going to be hard to be completely ready to have somebody like Jordan Onavu, who has a bright future here, out there on the final stretch of the game. And he would certainly had nothing to do with them not being able to come through in that win. But that's tough to go that far down. But it also does show you, there are some young guys in this program that are going to be pretty good at the receiver position going forward. But Omarion, your heart breaks for him because he had just started to come on. Cam Michael, who has been hurt all season. I just saw on social media this morning he went in he said it was his first ever surgery, so best wishes out there to him. He's very similar to Draylen Miller in the sense that he brings a lot of versatility offensively, could kind of be a little bit of a threat out of the backfield as a running back at times, the way that Draylen Miller has this year. So both those guys came in. I like Draylen Miller's answer of, some guys might be scared to come here out of the high school ranks because they are so transfer portal heavy with recruiting, but he bet on himself and has had a big impact. well, I would say an impact at this point. As a true freshman, you got to expect some of those ups and downs, and you would think maybe in the second half of the season you're going to start to see more consistency as he's gotten used to this level.
Yeah, and real quick, Cam McKell's a guy I mentioned in a previous video. I actually saw him in the airport coming home from Orlando, because his family was from down in the Georgia area, and he went to the game. But he said he's ready to be back by the spring, hopefully.
Okay.
So I knew he was going to be out for the rest of the year. But, yeah, he's an exciting young player. So is Draylon. Gets his first couple of starts at running back, and he's handled the ball there, and he was saying he loves it. I mean, he's enjoying that role, and he clearly looks the part too. I mean, he's a built receiver. He looks like he can do that. So he's done a good job with running the ball, with catching the ball, and it's not a ton of touches, but he is that guy that you look at when he's on the field like, all right, I want to see what Draylon can do here.
Well, he's the guy, and I would say this with LaJohntay Wester as a punt returner as well. You're just kind of waiting for that big play out of those two guys, because the talent is there, and they're just don't need a whole lot of space, and we've seen that with Draylon. He's been close a couple times. But, the first play of the season being a Draylon Miller rush, I certainly, and nobody out there watching this, expected that to be the first play of the 2024 season.
I forgot that was the very first play, because we talked so much about the running back group and, like, well, it's going to be Hayden, Augusta, Micah Welch. Draylon Miller is in the backfield, okay, and it was the first two plays. Remember, it was like it was a run, and then it was a pass out to him. So another young receiver, a couple of guys, but Jordan O is one that you talked about. But Shedeur mentioned he's the next guy up. Jason Phillips today was like, "Hey, if that's what Shedeur says, I'm going to go with that." He goes, "I believe in Jordan O as well, but as long as he's got the trust of the quarterback, that's what matters."
Yeah, and it was actually last year when Jordan Onavu got called up with Coach Prime in front of the entire team because of the effort he had made on scout team. And, he's one of those guys. I know he doesn't wear the OB patch, but I kind of want to put Jordan Onavu in that as well. He was committed to the Carl Durrell staff and, really got into football late. So he was kind of more of a developmental prospect. But Colorado decided to honor that scholarship, and it's been good. Some of those have been really good stories, just to see guys that have kind of had the odds stacked against them, with everybody thinking that Coach Prime is going to lean on his transfers, and to be able to come in this program and have an impact. And he has played a lot on special teams up until getting that stint at receiver on Saturday.
One other guy real quick, Cordell Russell. Fans ask about him a lot, like what's his status. Former four-star, went to TCU and then transferred here. He's been injured. Coach Phillips said that he's kind of getting his footing back under him. I read what he was saying is that he may not get in the mix. He was I don't foresee things changing right now, but we know that if we need him, we can go to him. And so is that kind of what you thought out of that as well?
Yeah, and he redshirted last year at TCU, so you can play him in a bit role this year and not mess up any of his eligibility. And he's just been hurt since he's been here, really. Back in the summer, Shedeur Sanders was praising his ceiling. And so, again, it's just you have so much talent there with those top four guys that some of these guys have to wait a little bit. But Cordell Russell definitely has the body type. He practiced last week. He came out and did warm-ups last week but didn't dress for the game. So for a second there, I thought he was going to suit up. So it seems like he's very close. And he's another guy. Get his feet wet on special teams. That's a big body there that can run fast and get his feet wet a little bit out there.
Yeah, clearly a lot of young talent at receiver. We're going to see it all again this weekend. But anything else this week or today before we get out of here?
Well, one thing to add in there, Travis Hunter usually doesn't practice on Tuesdays anyway. Yeah. So people might look into that haven't been paying attention to his practice schedule and how he eases back into it. So, that was one thing that I kind of also took away. Coach Phillips didn't mention that he practiced today, but he wouldn't on a normal Tuesday anyway.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we'll be back later on this week for a game preview.